Welcome back. Today I'm here to talk a little bit about some of the ways that you could set yourself up for success. And that includes taking some breaks. Learning from home, we need to take a little more responsibility for checking in with ourselves to make sure that our bodies are ready to complete our tasks. When working at school, teachers build lots of break times, natural breaks into our day to help keep our brains and bodies at an optimal level for learning. We have recess, there's movement and body breaks built into the day. Teachers vary the activities. There might be whole group, small group, independent learning, turn and talk time. If you notice your brain getting stuck, or maybe your mind wandering, your energy levels too high or too low, then you know it's time for you to take a quick break. These quick breaks should just be that, a quick break. So having a timer is a super great tool to utilize during these times so that the break doesn't take over. Home environment for learning is different, so our calm and our refocusing tools and options will be different too. What we use at school is probably not going to be available at home, but you might have a few things hiding in a closet or a back drawer that you haven't used or thought about in a while. Breaks can be completed when you recognize you need one, or you can build them into your daily schedule by setting a goal, like maybe taking a break after you do 5 multiplication problems, or after you've read a certain amount in a book. So you can decide if you're going to build in the breaks to your day in between different subjects, or if you're going to just take one just if you need it. And that's up to you. That's part of that responsibility for your own learning at home. When you need to take a break, or you have a scheduled break coming up, I want you to check in with your body, your mind, and your emotions. At school, we often use the mood meter to do this check. Then choose an activity that matches whatever is not quite the way it should be for your optimal learning zone. I created a few menus of choices that you could use that could give us an example of how this works. When you're checking in with your brain, you might say, my brain is 2, and then you decide what kind of word would go in there. Would it be something like distracted, confused, or stuck? Or maybe you're hyper-focused or too overactive. And then you'll decide what you would need to try to set your brain up for being ready for learning. So some choices that you might come from or choose from include things like a dot to dot or a coloring book. You might want to use some thinking putty. If you don't have putty at home that's already purchased, you could always make some. You could do some ball bouncing. This is one I really like, but I want you to think about it. Is it just bouncing to get your brain unstuck, or is it something you need to do to focus? If it's something you need to do to focus, I want you to think about crossing the midline, we call it. So you might go from one hand to the next. You might bounce from one hand to the next. You might bounce it against the wall from one hand to the next. That takes an activity that could just be energizing and creates a bit of focus around it. You could do some meditation. You could do some breathing or sketching. Maybe you are someone who's good at juggling, or maybe you have a pet in the house that you could play with. Maybe just something as simple as shuffling cards, a skill you want to get better at, or rolling a coin between your fingers. Any of these things can actually become calming tools. Sometimes I like to build with Legos, but it will be important to not have all your Legos available to you, but maybe just a few in a jar. You might use a hula hoop or a yo-yo. You might even do something like wash dishes, because sometimes things like that, it gets your hands wet, it has a different feel to it, and you're doing a job that helps someone else out. You might use a balloon to blow it up. You might use small pieces of paper for origami. Those are all things that you might do to help your brain focus. I'm going to move on. Maybe it's your body that's not in the right zone. My body is too blank, so I need. Maybe your body has too much energy. You're going to want to get some of that energy out. You might do jumping jacks or wall push-ups. Maybe you have a dance party. Maybe you decide that your body needs to focus and some yoga is going to be a little bit better for you. Maybe you could even think about jobs again, sweep the floor or move the laundry basket around because it's a heavy object that you'd be carrying. Maybe you just need to activate your mouth by chewing gum or some beef jerky or some dried fruit. Mango's one of my favorites. You might even water some plants. Or another thing that I like to do is a calming rock. Sometimes a polished rock or just one that I find outside. I could keep it in my pocket even if I need to. And it just gives me something, some kind of texture to hold on to. Another way to energize your body might be to have a soft piece of fabric that you fiddle between your fingers. You might do some sit-ups or some stretching. Or you might even snuggle with a pet if you have a family pet. And another thing to check in on are your emotions. Think about how your emotions are running. Are they too excited, silly, or elated? Or are they too frustrated, surprised, or upset? And then choose some activities that would help with that. Sometimes just turning the lights down, maybe snuggling under a weighted blanket, listening to calm music. Maybe you're gonna take that balloon and you're gonna blow it up if you need something to just calm your breath. Or maybe you're gonna use some bubbles because who doesn't have fun once you're blowing bubbles? Maybe it's something like reading a favorite book, or something that has some silly little poems in it. Or for some people, writing or sketching in a journal is helpful. Sometimes if I'm frustrated, I want to do something like wrinkle things up, or maybe even rip some paper, some old newspaper. Sometimes that can be really satisfying. You could also use a fidget tool that could be something that you create yourself or something that you have hanging around. Maybe it's a shaker thing. And if you don't have your own shaker, maybe you have an empty jar that you could add some rice or beans to. You could also do that for a sensory calming bucket. Used to have food in it, and now it can hold beans or rice or something like that. Another thing is scents. Sometimes smelling something can be super helpful. There could be some spices from the cabinet, a candle, or even maybe a plant that you have growing. This is some basil that we bought for cooking, but it really does change your mood when you take a whiff. So, these are all things that we just had lying around the house, and I'm sure you have some things too that you could use. I would recommend that you create a toolbox to use when your body, your brain, or emotions need it. Just grab an old box, something that you have lying around. You might want to decorate it or color it so that it's uniquely yours. You'll want to keep it in a safe place so that it's not too distracting to you or to others. And you might put some special things in there that you only use when you're using them as a break tool. When you're done with those tools, it will be important to put them back so that they're available for you the next time that you need them. You're welcome to share them with others if others in your house could enjoy them too. Once your brain, body, and emotions are just in the right zone, then you'll be focused, ready to work, and calm so that you can make good progress. I know you can do it. Remember, Yoda had some wise words when he said, "Calm you shall keep, and carry on you must." Yes. Until I see you next time, toodaloo, kangaroo.